good to go? All right, thank you. Mr. President, welcome to Canada.
Thank you very much.
It's a great honor. Happy birthday. A few days short.
A little bit.
A few days short, but didn't have a chance to see you on the day. Happy birthday to the U.S. military as well, 250th, and this is the 50th birthday, if you will, of the G7. This marks the 50th birthday of the G7, and the G7 is nothing without U.S. leadership, and your personal leadership of the United States, many issues. Geopolitics, economic, technology, and working hand in hand with the United States, Canada and the United States, and the other G7 partners with your leadership. Very much looking forward to the meeting and grateful to have you.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it, and we've developed a very good relationship, and we're going to be talking about trade and many other things. And we have a whole group of people, some traders and some other people. I see my top economy people. But we have a very talented group of people, and you do too, and I know they work together very well. I look forward to that. The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in, and I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in, and you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago, but it didn't work out that way. But it used to be the G8. And now it's, I guess, what's that, 8 years ago, it switched over. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake. Even though I wasn't in politics then, I was very loud about it. It was a mistake in that you spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table. So it makes life more complicated. But you wouldn't have had the war. Other than that, I think we're going to accomplish a lot. And I expect to. And I think our primary focus will be trade and trade with Canada, and I'm sure we can work something out.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so much. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I'm up a deal with Canada.
How close are you
Say
to
it.
What is holding up a deal with Canada from your perspective?
It's not so much holding up. I think we have different concepts. I have a tariff concept. Mark has a different concept, which is something that some people like. But we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of it today. I'm a tariff person. I've always been a tariff. It's simple, it's easy, it's precise, and it just goes very quickly. And I think Mark has a more complex idea, but also very good. So we're going to look at both, and we're going to see what we're going to come out with something. Hopefully.
Mr. President, do you think a deal is achievable within days, within weeks? Is there that kind of runway?
Yeah, it's achievable. Both parties have to agree. Yeah, sure.
Mr. President, have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to de-escalate the conflict?
Yeah.
What have you heard? What have you heard from the Iranians?
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day, I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
And what would you say, in your opinion, what would it take for the U.S. to get involved in this conflict militarily?
I don't want to talk about that.
As you mentioned Putin, do you think that he should have a seat at the G7 today, that it should be the G8?
I'm not saying he should at this point, because too much water's gone over the dam, maybe. But it was a big mistake. Obama didn't want him, and the head of your country, the proud head of your country, didn't want him. This was a big mistake. You wouldn't have that war. You know, you have your enemy at the table. Even I don't even consider him. He wasn't really an enemy at that time. There was no concept. If I were president, this war would have never happened. But likewise, if he were a member of what was called the G8 at that time, it was always the G8. You wouldn't have a war right now.
Why not have
What intelligence support are you providing Israel?
We've always supported Israel. We have for a long period of time, strongly. And Israel's doing very well right now.
Why not have China at the G8? Why not have China here, the biggest economy in the world after the United States?
Well, it's not a bad idea. I don't mind that. If somebody wants to suggest China coming in, I think we suggest. But you want to have people that you can talk to. You know, they don't talk. Putin speaks to me. He doesn't speak to anybody else. He doesn't want to talk because he was very insulted when he got thrown out of the GA, as I would be, as you would be, as anybody would be. He was very insulted. And, I mean, he was thrown out by Trudeau, who convinced one or two people, along with Obama. He was thrown out, and he's not a happy person about it, I can tell you that. He basically doesn't even speak to the people that threw him out, and I agree with him. Go ahead.
On immigration, why are you ordering ICE to target Democratic inner cities? What's behind that?
I don't know what you're saying.
You did a post last night where you said you want ICE to really target Democratic.
Yeah, I want them to focus on the cities, because the cities are where you really have what's called sanctuary cities, and that's where the people are. I look at New York, I look at Chicago. I mean, you got a really bad governor in Chicago and a bad mayor, but the governor's probably the worst in the country, Pritzker. But I look at how that city has been overrun by criminals, and you know, New York and LA, look at LA. LA, those people weren't from LA, they weren't from California, most of those people, many of those people, and yeah, that's a focus. Biden allowed 21 million people to come into our country. Of that, vast numbers of those people were murderers, killers, people from gangs, people from jails. They emptied their jails out into the U.S. Most of those people are in the cities, all blue cities, all Democrat-run cities, and they think they're going to use them to vote. It's not going to happen.
Okay, so here Trump, Mark Carney, I think he's smart. He is what he was doing there this whole time, not getting any questions asked because, hey, it's Trump, right? And there's so much world stuff happening in the world right now. Put this there. There we go. So yeah, he was reading Trump's mood the whole time he was there, you know. And I did like how he didn't dance, but he started rocking when Trump said, "Hey, maybe in the next couple of days, we'll get a deal." He said that so that you could tell he was rocking, but he was basically reading the room. And just that last second, last question, if you're looking at the aura of Trump, or the way his tone, I should say, he was like, it started to turn when he's Pritzker, you know, that from there on, Trump was getting upset. And I think Carney smartly, very wisely, it's like, how do you know what I mean? How do you allow the lion into the home? You don't start poking at it and then say, "Hey, come on, eat with us. We're gonna have a deal, right?" And then I'm not saying the media did anything wrong, but they asked the question that was getting him upset, and you know, I think Carney was like, "Okay, that's enough. I'm here to make sure the president of the United States doesn't have any negative feelings, any fighting, doesn't get into that fighting mode, in any shape, way, or form. He's here to have a good time, to look at the mountains of things, maybe make a deal, and we're going to shake hands. Maybe, I don't think Trump doesn't put his arm up in the air in celebration, but in the hopes of that, you know, like, you know, we got a deal together. That is what Carney is trying to facilitate as a good host. And I think he's doing a very good job. He's not letting the Democrat bullcrap get in there. And as soon as it was, I like this. Like, I got to say, he did a good job. Because the prime minister's job is partially to be a really good host, on this job, to be a really good host to all these people. So all these great leaders, it's not to throw his own personal politics or his party's politics into the mix. But see, he just jumps right in, and I'll just give the last 10 seconds, and that's about it.
It would take 2 weeks to decide
If you don't mind, I'm going to exercise my role, if you will, as G7 chair, since we have a few more minutes with the president and his team, and then we actually have to start the meeting to address some of these big issues. So, alors, merci.
That was great. He basically said, no, there's no basically. He said, that's it. That's the meeting. And then he turns to Trump. As he knew, he read the room. And then he turned to Trump because he is the leader of the room. Doesn't matter. We're in Canada. It's, 80% of our goods, right? And the tariff problem. He's like, is it all right? And he's like, yep. And then he gave him the elbow tap, which for Trump, who is a big deal, he's not a very, he's not a touchy person. So he definitely, he's like, yeah, thanks. Thanks for respecting me in the room. Not coming here and talking like you're some Democrat, Republican on the opposite side of the aisle. We're both allies, and in this context, everything that in his pleasure is in our pleasure. You know what I mean? It's a win-win. It's not a We're not in election times, and Canada should have no effect on the elections. Trudeau made his biggest mistake by letting the Democrat into his ear. Worm tongue, right? They worm tongued his ear. That's my opinion. And Carney is not going to make that mistake. There's no way. And you can see Trump's like looking at him like, he's still on edge, right? But Carney is, I don't know. I think he's doing a good job as a prime minister. And it looks like until the people right now think he's got until next February to fix some of the major problems in the economy. I don't see the housing. I think the housing issue won't be fixed by then at all. The plan I see, I don't see that happening. But the tariffs look like, they're going in the right direction. Everyone feels confident. Hey, he said maybe in the next couple of days. Trump just said it. Just breaking news. Next couple of days we could have a deal. So maybe reasonable bringing down the tariffs on the steel and aluminum. And that would be nice to see, at least that, bringing it to reasonable levels. Like I said, U.S. Steel owns Stelco now. Like it's an American union company. It's like, they get the profits. So that's kind of hurting an American company, which is now Nippon now. The deal was the Japanese company bought their steel, and now they're was allowed to buy it. What's going forward? It seems to be good. I don't see any issues with it. Japan is a super duper ally of America. They understand what it is like to go against America, and now they're the best of friends. There's no daylight in between America and Japan aligning towards America. No hard feelings. Japanese culture loves, adores, is into American culture. It's without the animosity. I got a lot of respect for Japan, but it's actually nice to see that they're not a wavering country of support for America overall. So I see Japan as a good thing in every shape, way, and form. But thus far, they're going to do the opening ceremony soon. It's taking a while, so I was going to put it on. But the opening ceremonies, I guess they're going to start. They do their picture, They go to a nice place. They all talk, and they take a picture. But it's taking a lot longer than I thought. So I'm going to sign off. Thanks, subscribe.